So let's start here in this little tunnel with these little people, and what do I like, we're gonna talk about time pressures in TTRPGs. This example is gonna be about Dungeons and Dragons because Baldur's Gate 3 is based primarily on the Dungeons and Dragons 2014 5th edition rules with some homebrew shenanigans going on and some flavors of the 2024 rules, as in things like piercing strike or flourish with certain like they come in with masteries in the 24 rules. What do I mean about when I say time pressures? You only have a certain amount of time to do something. I specifically chose to do this with Baldur's Gate 3 because there is a time pressure that you learn of early in the game. In the very first scenes, like even before the tutorial starts, your character is implanted with an illithid tadpole. Illithid tadpoles destroy the host. It's a parasite, it destroys the host and turns them into an illithid or a mind flayer. And you have 7 days before that happens. Over that course of those 7 days, you are broken apart as a person to turn into this mind flayer. So the implied time pressure you have when you start this game is that you have 7 days to fix this or you die. And you over the course of this game, or over the course of these 7 days, you will start getting negative effects. Now, this is an excellent thing to implement. Like 7 days until you die is an excellent time pressure. And it is a time pressure that I highly enjoyed the first time around. I was stressed to the max. Because knowing the rules of Dungeons and Dragons, knowing the rules of like what you can do, what you're limited in doing, because of like what you can do each day, you need the rest. You need long rests. You need to make sure that you have time to recuperate. You cannot just run on empty. And when I first started playing this, it was implied that you would start feeling effects if you didn't spend time long resting, short resting, doing all that stuff. And so you have to choose, is it worth it? Do you push? Do you force march? Do you travel as far as you can before you get into forced march territory? Do you what do you do? And that is what time pressure is about. What I did in one of my games to apply time pressure was to well, turn people into werewolves. That's a good one. So for those of you who haven't seen the Eberron campaign that I run, Rails of Morning, one of the characters got bit by a werewolf. The werewolf in question was the Blood Hunter. She has control over her ability to turn into a werewolf, but the warlock got bit and has no training in controlling it whatsoever. So I applied the time pressure that you have these many days. This many days until the warlock turns into a werewolf and cannot control the transformation or the power that comes with the transformation. You need to get to the Great Crag, the city of monsters, and train. Well, you have to find someone who can train him before that time runs out. Or you run the risk of him tearing the party to bits, or destroying people in the cities, or just causing havoc more than, they normally do. And so they had, I think it was 20 days until the full moon. And the full moon in question lasts for 5 days, because Eberron is Eberron and it can be a little bit strange. They made it to the city within the time limit. They managed to get the training they needed. So there was still a bit of an issue from time to time, but they managed to survive it. The tadpole in your head, it's a false time pressure because you learn rather quickly that nothing is happening. You're not changing, you're not transforming, nothing is really going on with the tadpole, which kind of removes pressure a bit. One of the things that you need to think about when it comes to applying time pressures is it has to feel real. I feel that if they had enforced needing long rests and then waited for until you find Ethel in her hut, or if you talk to Nettie or anything like that, and they had enforced you having to take long rests, like at least 2 before meeting any of these 2, I think it would have felt more real, more potent, more... Because after that it was more of a, oh, it's dormant. Huh. That means I don't have to worry about it. Huh. In the Theros campaign that I'm running, I haven't mentioned a time pressure at all, really, but the characters are aware that the Titans have been released, and if they don't do something about the Titans, they will run rampant again. And so time pressure doesn't always have to be actual days ticking down or things like that. Time pressures can also be things, like actual physical beings causing havoc, or similar things like to that. So don't get stuck on it having to be a time, like an actual physical day counting down. It doesn't have to follow a calendar or similar things like that. What it can be is, that there are beings in the world that will cause pain and destruction, and they are waking up. Can you prevent the threat before it becomes too much, essentially? In conclusion, time pressures is a great tool. The big problem is making them believable. You have to have a reason, and you actually have to have consequences. If the time limit is reached, the consequences have to happen. Otherwise, it's disappointing. Time pressure is a great tool, but use it in moderation. It is not fun to race the clock at all times.